Back in March of 2016, with what was then the Hunter and has since become classic, Expansive Worlds used to throw community design competitions in an effort to give artistic fans of the Hunter an opportunity to shape an aspect of the game to their liking. It was at this exact time that a design student found time in between homework and games to scratch out a basic concept of an evolving trophy, winning the trophy design competition and becoming an Almost Dev. Since then, Expansive Worlds hasn't really done many more aesthetic-based design competitions, but has released the graphically superior Call of the Wild title, along with new maps and features we only dreamed of during the Hunter Classic. So, with new Christmas players on the horizon and that backstory out of the way, I'm Bo, or Captain Munch, from BC Hub, offering you a beginner player's guide to the Hunter Call of the Wild by an Almost Dev. Now, before we get into the game, there are a few things we should break down so that you understand the financials of the Hunter and then can become part of this growing community. I should add that it is also important to be a member of the community because Expansive Worlds sends out surveys to their fanbase every so often to better understand what their audience is wanting to be added to the game. In the Hunter Classic, 9 free species out of 49 were able to be hunted on a weekly rotation. Guns and equipment were bought through microtransactions, but money could also be won in small amounts through competitions. To unlock the entire game to play, the game was set up on a subscription base, as seen in the examples here. This was unliked by portions of the fan base, and with the combination of somewhat dated graphics and a community wanting a game that was a one-time payment, work on the Call of the Wild began. In comparison, the Hunter Call of the Wild is a one-time payment of $19.99 for the base game, with added DLCs and new content, $3.99 for equipment, and $7.99 for entirely new hunting reserves. Already though, only out after a few years, the Call of the Wild has 33 animal species, and there are truly more and more to come. So, if I had to give a recommendation to someone who just wanted to try the Hunter COTW out, I would recommend the base game, the 5 free DLCs on Steam, and then the ATV Saber 4x4 DLC. I always say this should just be part of the basic game. If at any time they decide they want more added to their game, they can simply add each DLC they want as they go. So now that you have a basic understanding of how the two Hunter games work, let's get into the Call of the Wild. First off, as you should do in any game, check the integrity of your download beforehand to make sure all files were downloaded completely, and then go to your settings on the main menu. From here you should take a look at your display settings, as well as your graphics and audio, just to make sure it is how you want it. I should warn you at this point that the Call of the Wild has a lot of audio tied to your SFX. You'll find that your family members are more likely to be okay with the sound of wildlife in the background, but the boom of your rifle, shotgun, or handgun is most likely not going to be taken so kindly. Alright, it's finally time to hit that new game button and create your character. Choosing your sex and character options is at your discretion entirely, but your choice of reserve is important. I'm choosing Leighton Lake District because it is part of the base game and simply has that nostalgia I get, as it was the first map I played. I should quickly add though that as of December of 2018 you only get one game, so if you hit that new game button you're going to lose your level 60 character like I did for the sake of a YouTube video. So after that slow pan down to your character and the introduction by the game warden, you're going to be given a mission which you should accept before anything else. You can tap I to look at your current inventory as well as your equipment hotkeys and how they're currently set up. There's going to be a deer in front of you. Make sure not to go too far forward or else it'll scare it off. To complete the mission now, you should take out your rifle, take aim, and fire. This is your harvest screen. From here you can see the bullet flight through the animal, which vitals you did or did not hit, as well as the overall score for the animal. The overall score is based on the difficulty of the animal, as seen by the level 1 trivial difficulty, the quick kill bonus, integrity, and consecutive harvest. We'll be getting to integrity soon when we go through the weapon classes, but your integrity is based off of where you shoot the animal as well as the type of weapon you use to bring it down. The consecutive harvest is simply based on shooting and harvesting animals in a row, so to keep that high, make sure you follow up on animals you wound. Now that we've finished the first mission, our next mission to accept is to make our way towards the first spotting tower. Spotting towers in the game give us a glimpse of the surrounding areas, including places of interest and cabins for fast travel.
Would you look at that view? Never gets old, I'm telling you. From up here, you can see a lot of great hunting spots in the area. Valmont's not only where Hope set up camp, it's also famous for the railroad bridges along the old North Pacific line.
Now that we have the spotting tower, we can see that we need to make our way west towards the cabin for our first fast travel point. You can click anywhere on the map and place a waypoint if needed. Otherwise, make your way down the spotting tower and head west towards the cabin. With the cabin in sight, make your way to the flagpole to claim it for yourself.
Nice place, right? You won't find a soft bed in many parts around here.
It's important to note at this time that although a no-brainer to some, completing these first beginning missions puts you in an excellent place for multiplayer with your friends, so I find it's an important first step. Once the cabin has been claimed, you will have access to the bed to pass time for a small fee and the store to switch out or upgrade equipment. It's easy to get distracted at first with the weapons at your disposal, but this leads us to our next tip, which is weapon classes and animals. In the Hunter Call of the Wild, there are 5 different classes of weapons, and each class has associated animals to achieve maximum integrity. These may seem fairly simple to real-life hunters, but the class system was put in place to guide players in choosing ethical weaponry for their targets. First up on the list is Class 0. Class 0 weapons include the 22 long rifle and 223. They also include birdshot for the 20 and 12 gauge shotguns. Animals included in Class 0 according to the Call of the Wild wiki are the red fox, musk deer, jackrabbit, scrub hare, goose, mallard, and cinnamon teal. Class 1 weapons only include the 243 in the rifle category, but also the 12 and 20 gauge buckshot, as well as the 300 grain arrow and the 357 handgun. Animals included in Class 1 will be your roe deer, coyote, lynx, jackal, springbuck, axis deer, and blackbuck. It is important to note that your starting rifle will be the 243, and the accompanying base ammo is free, so feel free to stock up. Class 2 weapons include the 270, Whitlock 3030, and odd as it may be, the 4570, as well as the 12 gauge buckshot and 20 gauge slug, 420 grain arrow, and 44 Magnum handgun. Accompanying animals are the fallow deer, blacktail, whitetail, reindeer, black bear, wild boar, warthog, lesser kudu, and mule deer. Class 3 weapons will currently be the single-shot 7mm for rifles, 12 gauge slug, 600 grain arrow, and the 454 rhino handgun. Class 3 animals will be your Roosevelt elk, red deer, brown bear, wildebeest, gemsbok, and puma. Lastly is the muzzle. Class 4 weapons are the top tier of the game, featuring the 338 Rangemaster and the top dog 470 King Zenith. There's nothing like taking down a charging cane buffalo in Verhongo with a double-barrel King Zenith in your hands. Class 4 animals include the European bison, moose, Cape buffalo, and water buffalo. Well, that just about wraps it up for part 1 of this beginner's guide. In part 2, I'll be carrying on our thorough guide including perks and skills as well as basic hunting techniques in Call of the Wild. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful in any way, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to BZ Hub so you find out about our videos straight away. This is our infamous first YouTube video, and my brother Zacchaeus and I are looking forward to setting time aside, updating our equipment, and bringing a plethora of new content for our viewers. So until then, this voice belongs to Bo, the Almost Dev from BZ Hub, and we thank you for watching.